and I quote, encroached land. But to those who live there, some for over 4 decades, this is just another chapter in what many say it is a targeted campaign of displacement and erasure against India's Muslim population. These are families already made vulnerable by climate disaster. The victims of the Brahmaputra River erosion now rendered homeless again, but this time around by their own government. The rehabilitation plan, well, a flood prone patch of land with no roads and almost no infrastructure. The official justification from government, well, they're calling it development. But critics, including independent MLA Akhil Gogoi, call it illegal and unconstitutional and openly communal. They're saying this is about targeting Muslims to consolidate Hindu nationalist support. And this is just the latest in a series of mass evictions in Assam since the BJP took over back in 2016. More than 10,600 families, most of them, almost all of them, being Muslims, have been driven off the land they once called home. To help us understand what's unfolding in Assam and how this connects to broader patterns of anti-Muslim violence and sentiment across India, which is systematic and state-sponsored. We are now joined by Nazir Ganaie. He's a head journalist at the Kashmir Observer. Nazir, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on air. Really appreciate it. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for bringing me on the show to speak on a very important subject. This has been going on for some time now here in this part of the world.
No, definitely. I think let's talk about Assam. You've been following forced evictions across India quite closely. Can you walk us through what exactly happened in the past few weeks and this modus operandi of this BJP government to force Muslim families out of lands that they've occupied and lived in for decades upon decades, and the ultimate end goal of this project?
According to many, to understand the whole concept, Assam is a state which is governed by right-wing Bharatiya Janata Party, and the CM, the Chief Minister of the state, has been very vocal against Muslims from the day he assumed the office. So, according to many leading national newspapers and magazines, the Assam government has demolished over 1,400 Muslim families of Bengali origin from nearly 1,157 acres of government land in Dhubri district, just to make a way for power project, which the district magistrate of Nad has told the reporters there. The Assam Power Distribution Company Limited is actually heading the project and has been already allotted this land for this mega power project. The residents, who are affected by this demolition drive are originally Bengali Muslims, largely, who had been living in the area for the least 3 to 4 decades, and they have been displaced from Chutkara 1 and 2 Chutkara jungle block in the Dhubri in Assam. So this has sent shockwaves to these people who have been largely affected by this eviction drive, because they are just paving the way for this mega power project in the Assam. And we have in the past also we have also seen how for these mega power projects the marginalized people of India, whether they're Dalits or Muslims, they get affected. So same is happening in the Assam. But on the other side, the administration and the Assam government has been maintaining that it has issued eviction notices in advance and made daily public announcements asking the residents to vacate and dismantle their homes before they took any decision. which the residents have been denying. And they said the eviction, the brutal eviction has come suddenly, and their homes were damaged, and their dreams were, shattered.
Hmm. Very, very concerning picture that you're painting there, Nazir. Um, there's been reports of, people being, given other pieces of land. They've been cordoned off to other areas, and these are people that have already have lost their homes due to river erosion. Let's talk about where they've been taken, where they've been given these lands and resettled. What kind of areas are these? Hearing reports of there being no roads or infrastructure in these resettlements. What can you tell us about that front?
See, the Dehradun district authorities have also maintained in their statements that they have allotted 300 bigas of land, which is that they have, provided some portion of land to the Baizarvilla village or the adjoining areas to rehabilitate them and to have a sympathy for the affected people. That's what they have maintained. It has, the administration also announced that it had earmarked uh, somewhere around 50,000 rupees for the rehabilitation, relief and rehabilitation plan. But that is not the question. The question is when a person who is living in a house or in an area since his as his ancestral house, and suddenly in the garb of a mega power project that gets dismantled. So that's a deep concern. It's a deep concern for the whole whole nation as in India.
Hmm. 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 One thing that's really been interesting for me is the fact that we've seen, I think, a fourth major eviction in the last 30 days. Why are we seeing this acceleration now? Is it in any way tied to the 2026 elections, or it's just a broader ideological shift that is being implemented?
See, you rule out a lot of things. A lot of things happen because of the election gimmick. But at the same time, mega power plant or any dam project is not just an exercise of one day. It takes years to build that project. Definitely, projects are very important for the growth of the country, but at the same time, governments need to have a humane attitude, humane view for the people, living alongside the projects. So a scientific plan is to be developed. Nobody is against these projects, but the point is how you are issuing eviction notices to people is something that is very undemocratic, and that's a deep concern for the people of the area.
Mm, mm. No, definitely. I think we're going to leave it on that note. Nazir, always a pleasure chatting to you. I really appreciate you giving us your time and shedding light on the subcontinent in India and the latest that's coming out from there.
Thank you.
There you go. That was Nazir Ganaie. He's a Kashmir Observer, head of journalists. And yeah, I think, yeah, and Islamophobia in India, systematic, state sponsored, and I think at this point done with so much impunity, because I think it has been proven time and time again that there won't be any kind of consequences. The Muslim minority continues to live under repression, continues to be subjected to state-sponsored abuse, and well, the world is turning a blind eye to it. And my fear is it's going to get to a point where it's ugly. It's going to get to a point where it might resemble, a lot of cases of where we've seen minorities being targeted for erasure. And I think it's not surprising that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is such a big fan of Benjamin Netanyahu. I think what's happening in Palestine and what Israel, the crimes of humanity, and the systematic erasure and apartheid that is perpetuated against Palestinians, that's a dream for him. He sees himself taking a page out of that playbook and implementing it in India because there's little to no regard for the Indian Muslim minority in India. And all of this is happening in a quote unquote the world's largest democracy. Really concerning indeed. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, news and views will be returning with our hashtag Heard on Air feature. We'll be having a playback, a repeat from yesterday's Wednesday night with Inayat Wadi, where he had a really, really wonderful conversation focusing on the UK and the state of Palestinian solidarity in that part of the world. There's risks of, free speech, that right of free speech and showing solidarity with the Palestinian people completely scrapped. The biggest and most shocking move, obviously, being the UK Parliament banning Palestine Action, a pro-Palestine solidarity organization, as a terrorist organization. They've labeled them a terrorist organization, and anyone that supports them, anyone that might post something on social media that is for their support, or you're wearing any Palestine Action kind of regalia, you'll be persecuted also. So listen to that conversation. It was a really, really brilliant one. In Edward had Rui Hamid. She's a UK-based multi-award-winning documentary filmmaker and also a Palestine activist, and also Mazar Khan, who's also a UK-based political analyst, and they were just unpacking it quite brilliantly, where we find ourselves today with regards to Palestine solidarity in the UK and the government's efforts to silence it. So take a listen after the short break.